Okay, so I'm just putting together a quick little video. I'm going to be doing this for a few different topics on Revit. This video is basically going to be creating different drawing types, basically working drawings versus presentation drawings within Revit. I'm just going to mostly focus on my first floor plan here. It's by no means a complete project, but you can see in the model here that I do have. I have some furniture, I have some dimensions and tags. It's got a representation of most of the different elements that you'd find in a project. So to create working drawings and presentation drawings, the key thing that we've got to understand is working drawings, you would see things like dimensions, you'd see things like window tags, wall tags, room names and room numbers. You might even go so far as to seeing room areas. You'll see your section lines. If you have grids, they would also be on. Washroom fixtures. Now I only have toilets here or water closets here, but you would see sinks, bathtubs, showers, things along those lines. Millwork, like a kitchen, that would show up. Various appliances, refrigerators, stoves, that would typically show up in a working drawing. Things like the kitchen table, things like the chairs and the beds, those would not. Those are presentation drawing elements. Those would not be on the working drawings. So for presentation drawings, on the other hand, you would not be seeing things like the grids, the dimensions, section lines, wall tags, door tags, window tags. Those types of annotative elements would not show up. The room names probably would be showing up still. It would probably just be a room name, possibly a room name and number. The default tags, there's no option for just the room name. You might be able to go in and edit it and change it if you wanted to, but it's fine to have the room name and number. But you wouldn't see the dimensions or the section lines or anything like that. So what I'm going to do in this short little video is basically I'm going to duplicate my first floor plan. So I go over to my properties, my project browser, over on the left side or wherever you've got it. I right click on my first floor plan and I'm going to go to duplicate view. So you have two options, well you have three options. Duplicate as a dependent is not a suitable option for this. If you click duplicate, you'll see you create a duplicate floor plan and it gets rid of all of the annotation on the screen. All the dimensions, all the notes, room tags, everything gets removed. So that's one option. The other one, if I just go back to the first floor again, the other option here is duplicate with detailing, and that creates an exact duplicate of the first plan, but it's a completely separate plan. So I can say take this dimension string and pull it down in copy number 2, and if I go back to the original, it's still in the original location. I can go back to copy number 2 and I can take this bed and say hide by category. So it's going to hide basically all of the furniture. And I can go back to the first floor plan and it hasn't changed. So by duplicating with detailing, you maintain all of the annotative elements. It's basically an exact copy. So if you wanted to keep the annotative elements on, then this is a good way to do it. It's really your choice on how you want to proceed forward. Most people will have their first floor plan like an original drawing that has everything turned on, and then they'll create a copy for a working drawing and a copy for a presentation drawing. So this copy here is very good for a presentation drawing. So let me just rename this. Oops, probably should call it first floor presentation. And then I'm going to rename the second one first floor working. So that way I know. So the presentation drawing, I'm going to actually hide my section lines. And I am going to actually come back into my architecture tab and I'm going to tag my rooms, just so that my rooms have the tags back on again. I'm going to try and keep them nicely lined up. And I mean, I'm not going to obviously do every single spot. Actually, I guess I will, because the next step we're going to want to see all these different room names as well. And I've got a powder room here. And I have a garage. Alright. So this actually works pretty well as a presentation drawing. If I go to my working drawing, this works pretty well as a working drawing after I've hidden the furniture. And again, it's a limited version. Like, I don't have all the dimensions and all the tags. I don't have everything loaded up in here. It's, again, a limited model. But it should give you an idea of the sort of graphic differences between a presentation drawing and a working drawing. Now, one of the other things for presentation drawing that people frequently like to do, some people will be happy with, this black and white or this hidden line visual style. I don't suggest people go into the shaded views. Then you're stuck with various material colors, which may or may not be suitable. It really kind of depends on floor patterns. And I mean, some people like to do it, but I don't encourage this. Usually I like to stay with the hidden line view. You have a lot more control. But if people do want to show color, they can actually come to the properties. So again, I'm just in my presentation view. I'm in a hidden line visual style. And if in the properties here, you can come down in this graphics category near the top. Partway down is the color scheme. Right now I don't have a color scheme. If you choose rooms for your color scheme, you can then choose to give it a color scheme by room name. You can hit OK, and you can see that now each different room has its own color. And if I go back to my color scheme here, you can see, and you can change the various colors to whatever you want, so you have control. And every single room gets its own unique color, which might be good, might be not good. You can see here I have two rooms that are both called ensuite. They get the same color, because anything with that room name will get the same color. Now this gets a little hectic, a little crazy. The bigger your floor plans get, the more sort of overwhelming it is, the harder it is to get complementary colors going on in there. So what a lot of people will actually do is, instead of doing it by room name, they have the option of doing it by department name. And we can give different department names. So I'm going to give it a new name here. I'm going to call it public space. I'm going to create a new one and call it private space. And I'm going to have another one and call it service space. And that'll basically be the garage. You can also have like corridors or transitory space or things like that. Up to you how you want to deal with that. You've got different colors here for the different spaces. And if I choose OK or apply, I lose all the color from the model because it's no longer being tagged by room name. If I just hit OK, I'm accepting this department color scheme, but now I can go into my individual rooms. I can select the room, not the room tag, but the room itself, the actual room element, and I can go into the departments, and the den study is going to be private space. And you'll see it now gets a color. I can hold the control key down and select a number of different private spaces, and I'm going to call this corridor here private as well because it is leading to the private spaces. Unfortunately, you can't actually select all of them and change them all to the same department at the same time. I thought you could, but apparently not. So you'll have to do it one by one. As soon as I select the second one, I can't choose different departments. Come on, get the room. And again, just go to your department, private. Maybe if I zoom in, it'll be a little bit easier to grab these spaces. Private. So on and so forth, and then we can come to the living room or the dining room area. In the department for this, we would make public. And again, the living room would be public. So you can get an idea how this is going to eventually look. So garage, the department, we will call this service space. And again, each different room would get its own department or category, classification. And this way you can create a much more understated, controlled, and a lot more useful graphic. Instead of having every room being its own different color, this way it's divided up into sort of zones or spaces. And you can see the private spaces are all grouped together, the public spaces are all grouped together, and just a lot more useful visual than just seeing every different room has a different color, because most people, when they're looking at the plans, can see the walls and know that there are all these different rooms. So having them grouped together by departments, a lot more powerful, a lot more useful. As far as bringing the information onto the screen, if we go to the Annotate tab, we can add the color fill legend here, and it just creates the legend, private public service. So you can see if it was a room legend, if I switched from department to room name, then the legend then takes on the room names, and you can stretch this out as you need to, so you can see the whole legend. So this legend will automatically change depending on the color scheme format you are using. All right, so I hope that helps with the differences between presentation and working drawings. So again, presentation drawings, not a lot of annotation except for room tags. Furniture is turned on. Fixtures and millwork, things like that, obviously is also on. And you have the option of adding color schemes to it with a legend. Working drawings, on the other hand, they do not have furniture. They do have fixtures. They do have millwork, but they also have all the annotations: wall, window, door tags, building section lines, wall sections, callouts, dimensions. All of that information you would find on your working drawing plans. All right, thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.